We're joined by Xolani Dube, who is a political analyst from the Zubeira Institute in KwaZulu-Natal, and joins me now to give reaction. So you've had the benefit there, Xolani, of seeing the Integrity Commission report, as well as hearing at least one of the arguments about why, in the view of the eNCA, MVA, this particular process is tainted by factionalism, and that Ace Magashule should not heed it. He should not step aside, at least until there are these guidelines. What's your sense? How is the ANC going to navigate this?
Look, I think this this issue of Ace Magashule is like spinning in a wheel of confusion in the ANC. And all of us, we are really starting to be confused on really understanding if ANC really understands itself. It seems as if it's an organization that is confused, an organization that is not in touch with itself. Because we just interviewed a high-rank member of the ANC here, and the way he responded to some of your questions, it clearly shows that he is a very confused individual. If he's not confused, is someone who tended to say, look, I have to protect someone who is in my camp. And so here, clearly, ANC is highly factional, and I don't think that this faction will ever be able to reach a middle ground here. Because if they reach a middle ground, it means that they have, both of them, this faction, they need to vacate this highest position in the ANC. And so it's going to be a Mexican standoff. None of them is going to will to accept this recommendation from the so-called the Integrity Committee. Because remember, Thulasizwe, that there was a recommendation made by the same Integrity Committee about David Masondo, but David Masondo is still operating. And in KwaZulu-Natal, if you remember, Mike Mabuya Kulu is out on bail, and next year is going to court. But the Integrity Committee in that province allowed him to go back into the position of responsibility. And so I am saying ANC is a very confused organization, is an organization that has lost touch with itself.
Sure. You speak about a Mexican standoff, and as that line said in that movie, we have a Mexican standoff, yet we have no Mexicans. In terms of the impact of the Secretary General stepping aside, if we give benefit of the doubt to the argument, one of the arguments being presented there, Xolani Dube, this is the Secretary General of the ANC. It's not a light matter. This is not to say that the other officials you mentioned and other officials at various levels, it would be a trifle if they had to step aside. But here you're talking about the person responsible for the day-to-day running of the ANC. Surely the impact and purport of the decision can be appreciated.
Look, Thulasizwe, we have to understand that NEC of the ANC are just a moving skeleton. A closet. They have lots of skeletons in their bodies, to be precisely now. And their corruption is interconnected. And so one becomes worried if in future Ace might reveal a card that will take down, or that might require as well the president of this country to go to the Integrity Committee. Because as I am saying, the corruption in the ANC for both factions is interconnected. And so we need to be very skeptical that Ace might not go down alone. And so here, as I'm saying, there is a Mexican standoff, and there are hidden cards that both factions might play against each other. And so we, as the South Africans, we might find ourselves in a serious quagmire where our country, at the end of the day, might not have a leadership if the Integrity Committee is going to enforce its recommendation, and one day the president of the country might find himself in the same conundrum, and that conundrum will have serious repercussion for us. And so the reality here is about the electoral reform and also the fact of the matter that ANC is a den of squanderers and they are willing to take down to the sinkhole. And so how do we rescue ourselves? That is the most important question.
Lastly, Xolani, knowing how long court processes take in this country, and that's a sad indictment in terms of case management, in our courts, and basically the ability to have justice dispensed timelessly, that it takes so long to go through a trial process. Knowing that and the importance of the office of Ace Magashule and also the timelines of the ANC electoral calendar as well as conference calendar and other events, for instance, the National General Council, which is scheduled for next year, the announcement that was made by Ace Magashule himself. Do you foresee Ace Magashule coming back from this one? If not coming back in terms of, if he steps aside, coming back into the mainstream before the term of office is over, but also coming back in the sense that this message around him being a victim and potentially someone who deserves to have people rally behind him, taking center stage among some quarters in the ANC, coming back in either of those two senses?
Look, Ace is not going anywhere. That recommendation from those old individuals in the ANC who are willing to be abused, because they are willing to be abused. We have seen they made recommendation and they are simply ignored. And this recommendation is also going to be ignored. And Ace is going to proceed and work like he has been doing before. And you will see a kind of an increased number of ANC voters. Those ANC voters, as well as the ANC membership, will function as a buffer that will simply protect Ace and his faction. And I don't think that really Tula Sizwe, Ace is going to fall. But we might see Ace keep on rising because we know that in the ANC, those who are raw, they are highly rewarded. And maybe one day, Ace might become the ANC president. In the ANC, the more you become delinquent, is the more you get rewarded. And when you become moral, just like Lulu Johnson and the others, you don't get rewarded. And so I think they have that unwritten rule that says, be more delinquent and get more reward.
All right, let's see how it all unfolds. It certainly sets the scene for the next National Executive Committee meeting, and I wonder if this matter will serve before that particular NEC, when that NEC will be. We know, of course, that the build-up now is towards the early January processes of the ANC, the January 8 processes. They do hold an NEC meeting around that time to basically finalize the statement of the ANC to mark the anniversary of the ANC founding in 1912. Does that then become the stage where this drama will play itself out around the ANC Secretary General, that's Ace Magashule? In news from the courts,